What's up guys, my name is Khan and we're back today in Scrap Mechanic, and we're back with improvements to a build that we actually did a while ago, and I finally decided to come back and improve it. I tend to take a look at a fair number of different builds and I get a lot of different suggestions in the comments, and then I never really actually go back and sort of redo them with a bunch of the suggestions, even though a lot of them are great suggestions. And so I finally decided in this episode to go back and redo one of the old builds that needed a lot of improvement, and that is of course the potato internet, or the Spudnet. So if you guys remember the previous potato internet video, I introduced a little very basic internet that would send letters on a screen just like this, and you know, it would let you pick which letter, you know, A, B, C, stuff like that, and you could send your letters from one screen to another screen 2 feet away by shooting potato guns at other objects. And it was pretty awesome stuff. It worked pretty well, and we could actually, you know, launch our spuds pretty much across the entire map. Now, the only problem with that version of the potato internet was the fact that we had 5 spud guns in sort of a parallel connection. So each spud gun was its own bit, and they all fired at the same time, which means we needed a really wide sensor pad, number 1, to actually catch the signal. And number 2, we needed to make sure that the spud guns had enough area between them so that they wouldn't interfere with each other's signals, because they aren't perfect accuracy. And of course, you know, it would happen a lot where they wouldn't exactly send the right signal. So I decided to take one of the best suggestions in the comments, which was of course, make the spud internet serial instead of parallel. So instead of using 5 bits all at the same time, we use one gun and we shoot it repeated over and over again. So this is the 8-bit spud gun internet. Of course, we have 8 bits, so it works on a really simple principle, basically uses timings. So to make the potato internet work in serial, it's actually not that complicated. Really, we just have one spud gun. Now, spud guns can only fire so fast, so there is a timing system set up, and I did try and make it as quickly as possible. So the time between each shots that this uses is 7 ticks. I tried it at 6 ticks, and it would actually miss certain shots. So with 7 ticks, we have our 8 bits, and really simply, it's just a cascading timer. So when we hit this signal, you can see it cascades a signal along, and if we have the bits activated, it will continue to shoot them. And you'll probably be like, well, Con, it's always shooting 1 bit, but you have none of the bits active. What does that mean? Well, it actually uses what I'm dubbing the wake-up bit, and so it's actually firing 9 bits every time, but really, it's just 1 bit to start the timer on the other end, and then 8 bits that are perfectly timed afterwards. So, for example, if we turn on all 8 bits here, and we fire it, you can see it fires 9 shots, if you can count it. We'll count it again here. Hopefully we can do this. If we give it a pattern, for example, like, you know, something like this, you can see it's actually firing them in, you know, the interval we're specifying. So if we do something like that, right, we can do a double pattern here. So pretty simple stuff, just timing. And then these bits, of course, would be, you know, triggered by an adder on the binary system there with some extra logic. But really simply, you know, we could do it with switches and send signals using this device. And we could expand this out as far as we want. This is an 8-bit system. We could make it 16-bit and still just have the 1 activation bit. And then on the receiving end, it's kind of the same thing. It's just a little bit different. So we'll just move that out of the way just so we can see what's going on here. And really simply, I mean, it's not too complicated, but when we hit the sensor pad, it sends a signal down this OR gate, which then goes and activates a little memory bit here, which kind of triggers the whole start clock here, the start pulse. And so basically what's happening is it's triggering the initial timer, and then it puts a delay on every potato signal to try and time these segments, which are also 7 bits, with these segments over here, 7 ticks, I mean, sorry. If the bit basically is hitting the timer at the exact same time a potato is hitting, then it will actually trigger that bit. I had to play around with it a little bit to get the timing right, but once you have the timing, it actually is always accurate, surprisingly enough. Regardless of the distance between the 2 objects, if you put them, you know, very far away or very close together, the interval between the potatoes always stays the same, and so it always gives you the same result on the other end. As long as all the potatoes, of course, hit the sensor pad. If they don't hit the sensor pad, you'll get some problems with the signals. But really simply, we can take a look here. We can look at, you know, any pattern we want. So let's just do an alternating pattern, and we can fire that. And you can see on this end, we've got the same alternating pattern on those blue bits. And that would be our output that we can then use for whatever we want. We can do, you know, for example, let's do 3 at the front, 2 at the back, right? So you can see puts in the proper gaps. It's really, really cool. But again, once you've got the timing down, it's 100% repeatable, which is awesome. You know, this single bit SpudNet kind of allows you to do a few more things. For example, we could do routing and have a few bits at the very beginning determine where the address is going to go. We're not really going to get into that yet. This is sort of the basic version of it, but we could do stuff like that. We could also expand this out infinitely, like I said, and have like, you know, 32-bit internet system for transmitting more data. But right now, for the current letter setup, I actually only need 7 of the 8 bits. So we don't need a whole lot. And actually, this letter system is a little bit different than the previous one because I've added in the digits 0 through 9 as well. So you can send letters A through Z and 0 through 9, which is kind of cool. Might look a little bit complicated. It's actually really, really simple. This is just a whole ton of AND gates. So you have your 7 bits here. This section, this right on the edge, this section here is your 7-bit adder. So it's a little bit interesting, but it's all kind of laid out flat. I mean, we could have built it, you know, on top of each other, but it's all laid out flat. It's a 7-bit adder, and then of course it just goes to a kind of OR and NOR gate. So as you know, you can see here as we cycle through, you can actually see the adder sort of going, and it's just triggering different memory bits. And you know, you can see it adding its way along as we go through all the letters on the screen. Get to X, Y, Z. We don't, again, have a countdown button because I didn't add that in because, you know, that would have taken more effort, and I figure, you know, why not? So really simple stuff. And then we do actually have a blank page. We can actually send a blank. So really simple. You pick your letter and then you press the green button and it shoots the spud gun. So we'll actually line that up at our own sensor. Each pad comes with its own spud gun, and it comes with its own receiver, which is kind of awesome. And the reason why is because we've actually got pads now that are a sender/receiver combo, kind of like an actual console. So on the previous SpudNet, we had a transmitting platform and a receiving platform. Now each SpudNet platform has a transmitter and receiver built in. So you can see we've got the transmitter mechanism right here hooked into this initial adder. So it just takes whatever signal you've got on the adder and sends it to the transmitter. And then of course, we've got the receiver side over here again with these bits. And these bits go through a series of AND gates, again, only using the first 7 bits. First 7 bit? No, last 7 bits, sorry. We're only using the last 7 bits. The first bit just always runs blank. But we've got the last 7 bits, and they, of course, also go to the screen if we hit the yellow switch. So if we hit the yellow switch, we're in receiving mode. If the yellow switch is on, as it is here, that means we're only seeing whatever signal is stored on the pad currently, and the pad signal only gets reset when you hit it with a new signal. So if we rotate the pad into position, hopefully we can, there we go. You know what, is that, are we even aimed at it? Is that... We're not even aimed at it. Let's just move this. This should be, you know, good enough, something like that, right? I mean, it's pretty obviously going to hit it. And so we'll send, you know, the letter, let's send the letter C. So click, fires it. And then if we go to receiver mode, you can see we have the letter C on the receiver, which is kind of cool, which, you know, doesn't really do much. And then we can go and let's send, you know, I don't know, the letter, let's send, you know what? Oh, I missed K. We should have sent K. You know what? Let's send M instead, right? Let's just, so boom. Right, and if we switch to receiver mode, we've got the M on it as well. Now, here's the cool thing. Let's send P, but before we are, you know, maybe we'll send R. Let's send R, but before, no. I'm trying to get one that's got a lot of different patterns here, you can see. So let's send, which one's got, oh, V. V is a good, he's got a double burst there, and then a single burst, right? So let's send a V, but you can see we've still got M on the receiver, which is kind of cool. So until we send a new signal, it'll keep M on the receiver. And actually, we can even send it when we're on... It still sends the V, even though we're on receiver mode. It doesn't matter. It sends whatever you have stored. So it's kind of nice. You can do that. That way you can receive messages from like someone else if you have 2 consoles set up, and you can send different messages at the same time you're receiving a message, even though it's only sending 1 letter, which is kind of, you know, extremely useless. But it is pretty awesome. And as long as the spuds hit the sensor pad, it's 100% all the time, which is really, really awesome. So of course, we had to take the SpudNet and hook it up with a bunch of repeaters. So the new Spudnet 2.0 repeater is a little bit better. You can see it's got a sensor pad on each side, and then of course it's got a spud gun on each side, as well as a controller to control all the bearings. So again, you kind of got to rotate them. They're all stacked in one pillar, so it takes a little bit of effort to line them up. But it's pretty simple stuff, and again, your internet is only as good as these repeater towers. A lot of people have been saying, you know, use the Intelligentsia mod and stuff. And I thought about it, but the problem with the Intelligentsia mod is that if you try and have, you know, these spud guns moving, you're never going to be able to actually hit the target. And if we want stationary stuff, I guess we could do that. The only problem is you're going to have to set yourself as an exception to every single AI. Otherwise, if you walk between 2 towers, the tower is going to shoot you with the internet rather than, you know, relay the signal. So it's just a little bit easier to use some static towers. It does take a little bit to set it up, of course, but I know a lot of you were saying to use the Intelligentsia mod and have auto-tracking turrets. It just seemed like there were too many issues that I could see coming up. And of course, having to run around to each tower and set yourself as the exception to each AI was just, you know, it was going to be too much. But a really simple tower, of course, we've got the bearing system set up, you know, really simple stuff. And we've got just a really simple test button. So you can hit that, it'll fire a spud every half a second. Lets you, you know, line up your towers to each other. Pretty simple stuff. So I will upload this, of course, to the workshop with the transmitter/receiver. And, you know, pretty simple stuff. So in this case, we've got a transmitter here, transmitter-receiver combo here, and another transmitter-receiver combo here. And we're sending the internet through that tower to that tower to that tower to that tower to that tower and then back to here. We could send it around the whole map. I just didn't want to have to set up that many towers. Okay, well, you know, we'll put you in send mode. And we'll put you in receiver mode, okay? And we'll pick a different letter here. Let's send an I. Now, you know, let's find some with a really good pattern here. So that's 2 bits. There, that's 1. N is 1 and then 3. Do we have, let's get into the numbers. I guess the numbers will be really good. So it doesn't even use the full 7 bits. The thing is, 7 bits is 64 different positions. So 0 through 63, I guess. And with all the letters and all the numbers, we only go up to 36. So we only actually really needed 32 plus a little bit, but of course to get that extra little bit, you have to go up a full doubling of the amount. So we went from 32 to 64, even though we're not using the extra positions, but that, you know, it's okay. We could have just do like capital letters, and then we could have digits 0 through 9 plus capital letters, maybe some symbols. I mean, I don't really want to have to wire up more of that. I hope these towers are lined up enough. It works perfect if you can actually hit the sensors, but again, the inaccuracy of the spud guns is really the biggest pain here. I would like to use a perfect accuracy spud gun to make this. I probably have to use some kind of a scripted mod. I'm sure there's a scripted mod out there that has a perfect accuracy gun on it. I know a lot of people are saying, well, you could do it with controllers and sensors and have a sensor looking at a position and like flickering the controller, but it seems like it's just more fun to shoot spuds. All right, so we're gonna try sending an 8 through the Spudnet. Here we go. Oh, look at that. It came all the way through. So we just went around the loop, and you can see there it goes boom, 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 boom. And, you know, if you go to send mode, we're on J. So let's send a J back. I don't know if it worked. Did it work? Oh, perfect. We got a J back. All right, so let's send the 8 again, and we can see. Actually, you know, it's already got the 8 stored, doesn't it? Oh, boy. Oh, it's not a happy 8. It's missing. There's a partial miss somewhere. So if the sensor timings are slightly off from each other, which means the potatoes aren't actually hitting the sensor, it's kind of flying past the sensor, then it's not exactly going to give you the proper signal. And sometimes you get that pulse. That's why we've got this little emergency sort of reset the output button. It doesn't really mean much. It just kind of is a corrupted message. It just means somewhere along the line, one of these towers is slightly off. There we go. So it got it that time. So there is somewhere where it's missing, but only sometimes. We got to find that at some point. But again, I'd love to, you know, have a perfect accuracy spud gun. It's the variation. And of course, we could make these sensor pads bigger. It's really simply just a bunch of sensors hooked into a single OR gate. So we could expand these out even more if we wanted to make the spud guns further apart. We'll try sending a 9 here. Should that work? No, yeah, no, it's definitely, there's one that's slightly off. So somewhere there's a tower that's missing, but I don't know which tower it would be. Okay, so now I got it. Yeah, so it's, again, if the potato flies by the sensor rather than hitting the sensor, it means the timing is slightly different. And even if the timing is off by 1 tick, it's enough to actually cause this to kind of screw up a little bit. It uses a pulse extender, and the timings between the timer here on the sending side and the timing on the receiving side kind of have to be perfect, or else it doesn't actually get the signal properly. So let's see, we can switch this over here to, oh yeah, right, we're on, you know, let's send an N back for, you know, let's see if this, okay, we got an F. We definitely have a missing tower here somewhere. Of course, the problem with this design too is there's 2 directions you have to worry about. We're still getting an F. So there's 2 directions we have to worry about. So one of these towers is missing in this direction, but it's not necessarily the same tower that's missing in the other direction. Okay, that's just really bad. This direction is really, really particularly bad. So both of these platforms, of course, have the good old turn on testing button. So we just turn that button on and we'll just take a look. And of course, it will repeat the signal all the way around, so you can always just test it in one spot. I feel like it's missing this first tower. Seems like it's high on that first tower. Can we maybe just tilt that up a little bit? You know, that looks, that might be better. A little low, but you know what, that's okay. This one, you know, that might be the problem here. One where we're shooting up into the rock. I mean, maybe it's hitting the rock. It's totally this tower. It's clearly missing half the time. You see, half the time it's shooting up, but I bet you it's because it's just too far away, and I bet you if we try and tilt this tower down one, it's just gonna be, you know, it's not gonna hit. Oh yeah, now we hit the rock. Perfect. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to deal with this tower, you know, missing slightly. It's gonna happen, so I guess that's just gonna be our packet loss. But again, like I said, let me know in the comments down below if there is a mod that has a perfect accuracy spud gun. I would love to make a perfect accuracy version of this. I don't really want to have to use mods, but you know, I also don't want to have a receiving catch plate that's 1,000,000 miles in diameter. Regardless, of course, I still will upload this to the workshop. We're just gonna hit the resets on the outputs. The testing kind of sometimes, oh, that one's actually fine. But I will, of course, upload this to the workshop with the transmitter and the repeater so you guys can check it out, make your own internet section, and try and design it. Let's see if we can send this M. We did adjust the other ones. Yeah, it's still missing on that top one, I bet you. It's not, I bet you it's better the other way, though. Whoever lives on this side of the fence has bad internet, and whoever lives on this side of the fence has good internet. I guess depending on how you want to look at it. All right, you know, let's just send an O instead. That was so much worse. You know, we're definitely having an issue with the interference tower, but that's okay. Sometimes, you know, you just gotta take your internet and just make it super direct and just run a LAN cable at your buddy's house, and that's what we're gonna do here. So we'll just run a LAN cable between the sender and the receiver. So we're just gonna have this one here, you know, make sure we get that that good quality LAN action. All right, so now we're into LAN cable territory. So we're just gonna test these, and you can see we'll just, you know what, we'll just change this one a little bit. Make sure it's perfect. So now you can see we'll get perfect signal with no packet loss, just to prove to you guys that there is in fact a working transmitter and receiver, even though you know, we get some weird issues happening. So of course, reset after we do the testing, perfect. And now we should be able to send our buddy the good old I signal, no problem. And pretty much any signal we want, send him a nice K, and look at that, you can see no issues. So again, definitely need to work on the accuracy of the potato guns. If we had towers super close together, we'd never have any issues, but yeah, no, perfect. And let's send, you know, what was the really complicated one? It was a 4? Let's send a 4. The 4 was super complicated, so let's just get that one going. There we go, perfect. Lots of data. And you can see perfect every time. Make sure, of course, you let me know what you think of this build in the comments down below. I should really rearrange the towers a little bit, but of course, try downloading it on the workshop, setting up your towers, and you know, try and make maybe a bigger catch plate if you want to have further distance between the towers, because of course the potatoes don't maintain a perfect accuracy. So definitely something that would be cool if it existed, but I don't think there is a perfect vanilla potato gun. But of course, let me know what you think of this build in the comments down below, and while you're at it, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.